Wrestling storytelling, or booking as it's more commonly known. We're not here to tell you that it's easy, but sometimes it's easy. Sometimes the perfect bad guy and the perfect good guy are on a collision course and you just gotta let them go at it. But that doesn't stop the creative minds from occasionally dropping the ball and kicking it down the street into a wood chipper. I'm Senior Siete for 7 Wrestling, and let's take a look at 7 times big matches were killed by bad booking. Before we get underway, if you enjoy this video, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and back elbow the notification bell. Number 1. Becky Lynch vs. Ronda Rousey, WrestleMania 35. The SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch and the Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey were slated to square off at the Survivor Series when an errant fist swung by Nia Jax sent Lynch to the injured list. Which is a shame, because the build-up to this match had set the world on fire. In fact, the bloody nose that sent Lynch home for a few weeks is the same bloody nose that turned her into the most popular female wrestler of all time. No worries, a match of this caliber should be saved for WrestleMania anyways. And that's what they did, with Lynch becoming a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble and eliminating Charlotte Flair on her way to the WrestleMania main event collision with the Rowdy One. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Oh, but there have to be detours and roadblocks and other crap on the road to WrestleMania, right? Well, this looked like a friggin' Mario Kart course. Starting from the top, Becky gets a knee injury, Becky gets suspended, Becky's forced to apologize, Becky's suspended again, Becky gets arrested, Ronda Rousey vacates the Raw Women's title for some reason, Becky's out of the match, Becky's back in the match, and now it's a triple threat with Charlotte Flair because of reasons. Long story short, too late, by the time WrestleMania had rolled around, the storyline had been painted with so many shades of stupid that they really had an uphill battle. Add an exhausted crowd that had peaked during Kofi Mania earlier in the show, and the fact that Ronda's shoulder was up during the deciding pinfall, and Lynch's crowning moment went over like flatulence in a house of worship. Number 2. Randy Savage vs. The Ultimate Warrior, SummerSlam 92. In 1991, the animosity between the Macho King Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior had reached such a high level that the only way to settle it was in a match where the loser had to hang up their boots forever. And this was the rematch. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hold up there, Siete. How do you have a rematch of a bout where one person has to retire? And if you're asking that question, you must be new to the world of professional wrestling. In which case, hey, welcome. And to keep this short and sweet, know that words like final, last, one time only, and retire mean nothing here. Okay, so that WrestleMania bout between the Warrior and Savage was an instant classic, and it stood to reason that the rematch would be more of the same. That is to say, until it was decided that the booking leading up to the match was going to center around which man would hire Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig to be in his corner. So wait, which one of the good guys was going to hire a heel manager? Alright. Sure, it made sense that certifiable nutballs like Warrior and Savage would be paranoid enough to think that the other might pull a fast one, but with the booking of the match itself centering around the duo accusing their opponent of chicanery, this world title match never really got off the ground. And when the punchline at the end was, haha, neither guy hired Mr. Perfect, here's a disqualification finish, well, it left everything flat. Fortunately, Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith were there to send the fans home happy. And, on the plus side, at least Warrior didn't wear one of his new nude singlets. Number 3. Sting vs. Hulk Hogan, Starrcade 1997. Remember at the end of The Karate Kid when Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence are facing off for the deciding point and Johnny legally kicks Daniel in the chest, wins the All-Valley tournament, and then walks off with Elizabeth Shue, only for some new kid in school to restart the match and Daniel was able to claim the victory? No? Good, because that would be idiotic. But that's what happened when WCW booked the biggest money match in the history of the entire promotion. WCW had kept their goodest good guy Sting from wrestling a legitimate match for nearly a year and a half, before finally having him step in the ring with the baddest bad guy Hulk Hogan, and the fans were rabid for the WCW original to send the leader of the NWO packing. It was the feel-good story to end all feel-good stories, and they blew it. Hogan pinned the Stinger as clean as a sheet, much to the horror of the onlooking crowd. Bret Hart, fresh off of being screwed by a referee in WWE, came out and claimed there was a fast count and ordered the match to be restarted. It was, and Sting made Hogan submit to the Scorpion Deathlock. But here's the problem. The count wasn't fast. In one fell swoop, WCW's biggest good guy lost cleanly, and their new biggest good guy looked like a crybaby loser. Now, a lot of stories have come out since then about what actually happened, and a lot of them are contradictory. Most agree that the referee was originally supposed to make a fast count, but either Hogan or WCW head Eric Bischoff or friggin' Ted Turner himself told him to count a normal count. Either way, the damage was done. More flatulence, another house of worship. Number 4, Hulk Hogan vs. Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8. It was the dream match of the 80s, the kingpin of the WWE versus the kingpin of the NWA, the immortal Hulk Hogan versus the nature boy Ric Flair. And nobody believed it would ever happen until one day when Bobby the Brain Heenan showed up on an episode of WWF Superstars holding the NWA World Championship belt. Minds blown. What followed was a program that was clearly leading to a WrestleMania showdown between the duo, with Flair winning the WWF title during a star-studded Royal Rumble and Hogan being named the #1 contender and receiving the WrestleMania title shot. However, WWE officials were worried that the match wouldn't draw. A test run with the match earlier in the fall had drawn less than stellar numbers, and Hogan, be it because he wanted to go to Hollywood to make more awesome movies, or, a potential steroid trial, decided it was time to retire. So, the match was changed with Randy Savage taking the title shot and Hogan squaring off against the new bad guy on the block, Sid Justice. The icing on the cake, of course, was the fact that WCW ran this as a main event years later when Hogan had jumped ship to Turner. The result? The highest amount of pay-per-view buys WCW had ever done up until that point. Whoops. Number 5, the WCW champion versus the WWF champion. In that same vein, we're now going to look at a match that literally should have been impossible. It would require either an unheard of collaboration between two warring entities, or one would have to straight up buy the other. Oh, there it is. And with Vince McMahon's acquisition of WCW in the spring of 2001, the wrestling world was downright giddy with all the potential dream matches. And after starting the invasion off with WCW megastar, let me check my notes. Oh, Lance Storm. Good choice. Things eventually picked up with bigger names like Diamond Dallas Page and WCW World Champion Booker T. And to main event the first show of what could be the biggest storyline of all time, they went with a who's who of WWE stars. Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Kane, The Undertaker, and they were going to be facing WCW stars Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, ECW champion Rhino, who'd been in the WWE for like a long time at this point, and the Dudley Boys, boy, because ECW, kinda, I guess, no worries. This feud could rage on for years, and we could finally see the two world champions go head to head. But okay, Booker T just straight up lost the title to Kurt Angle a few days later on regular TV. Only to win it back a week later, and then drop it to The Rock at SummerSlam and never see it again. Yeah, alright, well, so much for that dream match. Number 6, Demolition versus the Legion of Doom. They say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so with that in mind, the Road Warriors must be the most flattered tag team of all time. The Blade Runners, the Master Blasters, the Powers of Pain, and yes, 3-time WWE Tag Team Champions, Demolition. Spikes? Check. Face paint? Check. Tongues? Check. However, Demolition was a little bit different in that they were a brawling duo instead of a power team, and they were surrounded by wildly talented pairs like Strikeforce, the Hart Foundation, the Brainbusters, the Rockers, so they had an awesome run of matches. Add a badass theme song by Rick Derringer, and you have a pair of imitators that you could argue were surpassing the originals. So, when the Legion of Doom showed up at SummerSlam 91 to cost Demolition the tag team titles, it felt like all systems were go for this dream match. And then, it never happened. What followed was a series of 6-man tag matches where Demolition would be joined by their new partner Crush, and the Legion of Doom would partner with then WWE World Champion The Ultimate Warrior. They took this match on the house show loop and then did it again on Saturday night's main event. And while all the players did participate in a Survivor Series match, we never got the 2-on-2 match we had all been hoping for. The originals, Axe and Smash versus Hawk and Animal. Now granted, Axe was reportedly dealing with health issues at this time, but he was still participating in the matches. And those things can be hidden pretty easily in a tag team setting. Come WrestleMania that year, the Legion of Doom destroyed Power and Glory in 59 seconds, while Demolition lost to Tenor and Kateo in less than 5 minutes. A few months later, Axe was gone from WWE for good, Crush would become a Hawaiian squishing expert, and Smash would have a hot gimmick where he'd repossess cars. Yes, really. Number 7. Bret Hart vs. Hulk Hogan, SummerSlam 93. WrestleMania 9 didn't have the worst ending in WrestleMania history. But Hogan sneaking in to win the WWE title after all Bret Hart had done to carry the company was certainly up there. But worst case scenario, it was going to build to an awesome title match between the two. The biggest name in wrestling history at the time, the immortal Hulk Hogan facing the excellence of execution for the WWE title at SummerSlam 93. At least that was supposedly the plan? Maybe? Bret Hart claims it was, even saying that they did a photo shoot where Hart and Hogan were playing tug of war with the WWE Championship. But those photos have never seen the light of day. And Hogan says not only did that photo shoot never happen, but that the plan was always for him to drop the belt back to Yokozuna at King of the Ring. How can that be? This isn't a Shades of Grey situation. A photo shoot happened or it didn't happen, so somebody's lying. And we're not here to point fingers, but it makes more sense to just have Hart beat Yoko at WrestleMania and then drop the belt to Yokozuna at King of the Ring to set up Lex Luger's Star-Spangled Face turn. But if Bret's right, where are these photos? Put all of that aside, why wouldn't that have been the plan? Bret versus Hogan would have been an awesome main event at SummerSlam, a real clash of generations, ring styles, and fan bases. It was even hinted at in the pages of WWF magazine. Our money is on Vince changing plans midstream so he could focus on the Lex Express, which, in his defense, was an unrivaled success that would propel Lex Luger to the world title and an impressive run of WWE main events lasting years and years. Well, that's our list. Did we leave out any big matches that were spoiled by bad booking? If so, leave them in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoyed this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and press that notification bell. Until next time, I'm Senior Siete for 7 Wrestling saying bye-bye.